Hey everyone, Dave Brown here from America Snippets. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode and joining us on today's show. Today we have a very special guest. His name's Tim Combs. He's the executive director for Americans for Independent Living. Tim's a real estate investor, and he's doing some really extraordinary things for our vets in terms of providing housing. And I met Tim Combs, last year in Denver for a real estate mastermind, a mastermind that we're both a part of called Boardroom. Tim's a real estate investor. I do real estate investing as well. And Tim was sharing his story with the room on, his mission and purpose in life and how he's doing these housing redevelopments for our veterans. And I was so intrigued about what he was doing and inspired that I wanted to have him on the show and share his story with everyone and do what we can to kind of rally around what he's doing, get him some more eyeballs on what he's doing, give him some more support, because what he's doing is really exceptional and is important for our vets. So, Tim, welcome on the show. Appreciate you having you here today.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background first and how you kind of started this organization.
Okay. I guess I've been a contractor pretty much 25 years now, on my own business for the last 20 years, doing residential housing, concrete work. Pretty much would do anything from top to bottom. So I've done that. Then here, probably a couple years ago, it's been in 2015. That winter, 14-15 winter there, started looking at what I could do different as far as how I could give back and do more for the good than what I've done in the past. But I've always enjoyed helping people, and every construction job, it seems like I went and would do for somebody, I'd end up giving quite a bit of things away, it seemed like, as opposed to charging for it, and just to help them out and to do things. And if I'm going to keep doing this, maybe I ought to do a little more than what I normally do and try to do something for ones that really need the help. And from what I see, through the media and in your own community and everything of veterans that are having a hard time and ones that are homeless, and you hear a lot of bad stories, and now dealing with PTSD seems to be, the mental health side of things getting to be really bad for everyone. So some soul searching at that time frame came into play. What is it that I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it? And the Lord kind of sent me that direction. And more I started into it, the more doors that started opening pretty fast for me. Mm-hmm. So started that in 2015, and within 6 months had my full-blown 501c3. About 4 months later, had my first house donated to me.
Awesome.
Through doing some media, through the local news, with the VA director, our local VA director, him and I, he come to me and says, I hear what you're doing, and that's great, and we need to work together, and we actually need some houses for homeless veterans. We got several in the area, and we need to get something going, and nobody's stepping up to do anything. So we did that little deal on the news, and within a few weeks later, got a house donated. And so I rehabbed that house, which houses 3 veterans. So we ran, I think we're on 2 groups now. We're 6 guys through the house. We've had really good luck. Everybody seems to be pretty happy, and with supportive services that we provide, because we want to, we're not here to hand out, we're here to hand up. And the whole game is when they come in the door that they got to agree to go through some programs with us to get them back onto making sure they get their checks and sign up for anything that they can get, and help them out from their moving forward. So hopefully we can get them into being a homeowner as opposed to being homeless. So right. So that's the whole game plan. And so far we've gotten several guys now into their own apartments and moving forward. So it's been an awesome feeling for myself and and great to see these guys back on their feet and going at it.
So providing housing to veterans in the way that you do is just really one part of it. It's like the initial step. So there's
yes.
a bigger mission here to kind of integrate them more into society, get them back on their feet,
Right.
jobs, training, whatever.
We work with them from day one when they come in the house. Of course, is to get them connected with the VA and any services that they can get if they have never filed for anything.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, we've had several older gentlemen right now. I mean, we're talking late 50s to 60s, Vietnam era, some guys yet. And they're like, I don't get anything, or I think I could get something, but, I just never had an address to get a check. So we get them signed up with everything through the VA and other organizations that they can get any draw from, any checks or anything that they can get that way, support. And then from there, it's what do you want to do, and are you capable of doing work, and what is it that you'd like? And from that point, then we start reaching out to businesses around and start getting them onto the computer to realize how to fill out applications online and start working through them from that point. So want to make sure that they're fulfilling, what they want to do in life, and give them that support to be there to back them, for whatever it is that they want to do. So
awesome.
That's huge right there.
Terrific. And so you had a couple of really cool stories. One about a big building that you basically had donated to that you got at a really low price. But before that, an interesting story in regards to our president, Mr. Trump, and tell us about that and what happened there.
Okay. Yeah, that was quite a deal. When our president was running for presidency, he came to Des Moines, Iowa, in January of 16. There, he did a fundraiser. Instead of going to a debate, he did a fundraiser instead for veterans. So if everybody remembers that, so like within 24 hours, he raised I think it was like $6 million or whatever.
Right.
And my wife.
And that was without controversy, right? It wasn't without controversy, of course.
Right. Very true. And my wife called me up that day, and she's like, "You got to get into that. You got to get into that event one way or another." And I'm like, "How the heck am I going to do that? I'm not into politics, so I don't follow a whole lot of anything with it." But she's like, "Get a hold of his campaign manager and make it happen." And I'm like, "I don't even know who the guy is, but." I says it wouldn't go. I'm sure it probably wouldn't. So here I have this, self thing of, it's not going to work for me. But I sat and thought about it for most of the day, and by the end of the day, I ended up finding out who the gentleman was. I sent him an email and told him about my organization and what I'm doing, and I would do anything to come down and help and be a part of that, just to be able to meet Donald Trump and give him my information.
Right.
He's
awesome.
raising money for vets. How can he help me continue my mission of what I'm doing? And he's like, "Well, let me see what I can do, And the next afternoon, the day of the event, he called me and left me a message to come to Des Moines, and he'll do everything he can do to get me in. And I just freaked out. I was like, "You got to be kidding me." So I booked to Des Moines right away. That's about a two-hour drive from where I live. So I took off, went to Des Moines. I ended up standing in line for about 5 hours outside in 30-degree temperatures. Wasn't dressed for it because I just kind of lost my mind. I didn't think about going and getting a heavier winter coat. What I just had a small jacket on.
Right.
And I just did it. So, later on, stood there, and it got to be about 9 o'clock that night. I got there at 4 something. So it was about 9 o'clock, and I was like, "I'm going. I'm freezing to death. I'm going to leave. He's not calling me." And I turned around, I walked away. It took about 20 steps. I stopped. Something says, "Go back and wait just a little bit longer." And I went. So I got back in my line where I was at and stood there, and it wasn't 5 minutes and my phone rang. And so the guy, I answered it, and the guy's like, "Yeah, go around to the south side of the building, meet the guard. He'll take you in." And I was like, "Cool." So So away we went. I went around, did that. They took me right down to the front row with all the veterans. Got to sit right in front with everybody right off the stage. So got to see Donald speak, and then several others that he had there speaking. And at the end, I ended up not meeting Mr. Trump that night, but I did end up get to meet three extraordinary SEALs that were there that spoke with him, and got to give him my brochure, tell him about who I am and what I'm doing, and asked one of them, because he mentioned he was good friends with the Trump family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked him, I said, here's an extra brochure. Is there any way you could get this to Mr. Trump and let him know what I got going on? And he says, for what you're doing, he goes, I think I can make that happen for you. So I thought, well, that at least I made it that far.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, at that. And the next day at home, come back, I came back. The next day I was working, doing things, and I got a phone call from the campaign manager of Iowa. And he says, I hope you're ready for this, but I just got off the phone with Donald Trump, called me personally and says that you need to meet him in Waterloo at 10:30 Monday morning because he'll be there. And I was like, that's not nice. You shouldn't say things like that. The guy's like, I'm kidding, man. I mean, I just hung up with him. He called me personally and invited
crazy.
You to Waterloo. And I'm like, okay. He goes, so be there early. Be ready to go. I think he's bringing you a check besides. So, and I was like, okay, pretty wild deal. So yeah, we showed up Monday and we were there. They took us from the entry, and kind of rushed us right off backstage, back behind everything. Had to sit there when he showed up. Trump got out of a car carrying a great big cardboard check.
Oh my goodness.
Come over and introduced himself, and it was crazy. I mean, it was neat. Got to meet him and his wife and his daughter and son-in-law, and turned around and he says, well, we want to give you a little something for what you're doing, because I think that's just extraordinary, just starting something out like this and wanting to help our veterans out. He says, this is unbelievable. But you got to help me get into the presidency. That's what I could do, but
well, you are doing something extraordinary, and that's an extraordinary story.
Yeah, and so he wrote us a check for $100,000, and
oh my goodness,
and that was just unbelievable. I just was dumbfounded on it. I couldn't believe that anything like that could happen to me. And putting something like this together.
Yeah.
So huge kickoff for a new organization starting out, getting a house donated, getting $100,000 from Trump. That just set everything on fire from that point.
That's amazing. What a terrific story.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people say, put your money where your mouth is. Well, he did just that.
He did that.
And that's what I love. So, and that's terrific. That must have been a huge boost for you and your organization. Just starting off and having that initial donation like that. I mean, what did that do for your business? How did that help you grow over the next 6 months?
Oh, that was with that we got that house renovated. That helped with the cost on renovating that house. We had a lot of donors that helped with all that. But with that, we ended up getting the news spread pretty fast within the state of Iowa. So other communities and other larger news companies come up and met with me. And I mean, actually, I had a lot of phone calls from that deal, the list that went out that Trump gave money to.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, from Washington Post, CBS, NBC, ABC News, the large ones would call me up all the time. So, and wanting to make sure I got my money and everything like that. Of course, yeah. Does he send you any more? For several months, kept calling back.
No one got you on, on a Fox News or CNN, no special video or, no. Interview or anything like that?
Just phone calls from reporters that did you get something or not, or and we'll put something out there for you, But I'm like,
God forbid they give too much exposure to someone who's doing incredible things for our vets, right? I mean, come on,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Go the extra mile.
Come here and talk to me, or I'll come there, whatever. But no, we never got that invite, and they never showed up.
Yeah, but still, it made a big impact. Nonetheless, yeah.
Oh yeah, and
good PR. Good PR.
Good PR. That's right. So it was huge. It helped out a lot with being able to more of the organization set up, making some, I guess, equipment that we needed to go with, to get an office established and, excuse me, and some things like that. And people started to really see that, hey, this guy's for real and what he's doing and what's going on. And
sure.
So it was huge. We've jumped leaps and bounds from what I think, what I hear anyway in the nonprofit world as to somebody starting out within their first year, getting that kind of money and getting a house donated and having everything working right off the bat was, leaps and bounds above most others that get going.
Well, $100,000 check from Donald Trump and the future president of America can surely do that.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
So that led to something else, another amazing story. You were able to secure this pretty large building, which was formerly a nursing home, right? I think you said 80 beds. How many square feet? 40,000?
43,000 square feet.
Right. And you got it for basically pennies on the dollar, right?
Yes.
So tell us about that, because this is pretty cool too.
After I got started putting this together, I would drive by and I've seen this building for sale. So it'd been for sale for about 3 years. And driving through, I was like, this could really be cool for the organization. My long-term goal down the road would be to have a big veterans resource center.
Mm-hmm.
And within that resource center, what I mean by that is having housing available for the homeless veterans and for older veterans that need a place to go, anybody in that realm, or guys and gals coming back, transitioning from military life to civilian life. If they need a place to go to stay and get some help with that, they can get that here. And so we could offer a wide range of the services that are needed: transportation, housing, they help with jobs and schooling, and all this can all be in this one-stop shop. So it was like, some year I hope to get a building like that, and I hope it stays vacant so I can get it maybe down. But so I looked at it, went a year here, looked at it again this last winter, like the spring of 16 or spring of 17, looked at it, and the realtor came back to me after I looked at it just to see what kind of shape it's still in or whatever. And he come back and he says, you got to make me an offer, because I went back to the company that owns it and told them who you are and what you got going on. And they want to help you out in any way they can. And they'd really like for you to take this building to be able to provide that service for veterans. And I'm going, what do you mean by that? And he's like, make me an offer. And I go, it was still listed for $400,000 for sale. And I says, I probably got $100 in my pocket. And he goes, write it up. And I'm going, oh, you're kidding me. And he goes, I'm serious. Put any number down. I don't care what it is. I'll take it to him. And I'm like, I'm not anywhere near ready to buy something like this. And we kind of argued back and forth for a while. And he says, just give me a number. And I says, well, the taxes is about $50,000. I says, would they do 50,000? He goes, write it up. Let's see what happens. And I go, okay. Called the realtor gal that's on my board, and she does everything for me at no cost. So I said, would you work with me on this? And she's like, heck yes, and she made up the offer and wrote everything in it and sent it over to him. And I couldn't believe it. 4 days it came back signed. They agreed on a $50,000 purchase.
Amazing.
And that's, like I said, it's a good brick and mortar building. It does need some updating.
Mm-hmm.
It was built in the 60s, so nothing really much had been done. But so anyway, by the time we were said and done, we ended up cutting that 50 in half, because they couldn't get a couple things working that I said that needed to work before I would take the building. And so we were down to 25,000. So I ended up closing it at 25,000. I got the property. Now it's trying to come up with funding and everything we can come up with to make it, turn it into what we want to turn it into.
And a property that's probably valued as is for what? For how much?
The assessed value for the city, taxes on it, is $1.4 million property. And so it's worth in that range right there.
Incredible. And this is going to be, just for your organization, for veterans, right? You're going to provide housing. Like you said, it's going to be kind of all, one-stop shop.
Yep. Yep. That's what we want to put in there, and that's the way we want to make it. So
Mm-hmm.
right now in our area, there's, we have about 12 to 13,000 veterans in our small community alone. And that's about 140,000 population between two small towns. So with that amount of people, there's nothing really available here for veterans to come to and hang out and have like peer group meetings and
peer-to-peer community. Yeah.
Peer-to-peer. Yep. There's just nothing like that available. And so I want to really, have an area for that for the younger ones, because a lot of the younger ones don't want to go to the AMVETS and Legions and things like that are out there. Nothing against them. They're great, but they're not into the bar scenes and things like that. So they want a place where they can sit and communicate together, talk through the issues that they got going on, and want to provide that for them, and a place they can come and just hang out and, disappear from anybody if they need to, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's something that as a community group, we can put that together and get the community to rally around it and come in and support and help the veterans any way they can. We get quite a bit of that through the community for our houses alone,
mm-hmm.
with the veterans there in the houses, that people will call up and say, would it be all right if we bring supper over to the guys tonight? Would that work? And things like that, and it's just,
that's terrific.
Cool. That is cool. And with all this news and everything going on, one of the other items that have exploded on us has been personal donations of housing goods. Because we end up helping a couple other agencies that house veterans in our area through government funding that they can automatically put a person into a house and pay their rent for several months to help them get started and things like that. We help them. They call us when they house somebody now, and we actually provide all the furniture for those individuals. So, and that's from people that donate the furniture to us.
Right.
So in this building now, part of this 42,000 square foot building, we probably have about almost over 10,000 square feet full of furniture.
Oh my goodness.
Furniture and kitchenware and clothes and, you name it, you need it to set up a house. I can set up a house with everything you need, plus give you the clothes to keep warm and do what you need from that point. So,
yeah.
And it shows up every day. I mean, people would drop things off every day. They call us. We ended up buying a U-Haul truck. So now we go out and pick up furniture and everything like that. So that's been huge. And we've actually provided furniture for over 50. I think it's been over 50 vets that have gotten housed this last year. So
that's amazing. Good for you, man. Yeah. Great story. So how much do you, what is this going to cost to make this happen, this building, and get it fully renovated and ready to go and have your vision kind of, become a reality?
Well, we'd be looking at, like I said before, I had the opportunity with some funding that was $3 million, but I think we could, we'd be looking at around about $2 million, 2.5 right in there,
mm-hmm.
to make the building look nice, not like a nursing home, but yet,
sure.
And then everything inside redone what we need to do for everything that way. It's a little bit, it's quite a bit of work that needs done as far as updating roofing and equipment and everything to make it all fit. But it would be, an awesome housing facility for that and programs available. So,
and this will be all done. You're going to raise this capital through just donations, right? And fundraising. So
that's where we're starting out now. Yes. Is doing that. Applying for grants. Issue with a lot of grants is a lot of grants want 50% already sitting in the bank of whatever you're applying for. So that's an issue that we don't have that available
mm-hmm.
sitting there. So yeah, we got to do some serious fundraising coming up here this year now then to start that process, get the funds, I guess start putting it together bit by bit as we can do it.
Sure.
And making that happen. But
is there a place where our listeners can go to kind of donate and help out?
Oh, you bet. You bet. You can visit us at our website, AmericansForIndependentLiving.org, or Facebook. We're on Facebook. Any of those places both have ways you can donate right through the website, right through Facebook. Can do that. You can mail us, send us a check, or send us information about you that we can communicate. Would love to do that. Email is AFIL at afiliowa.org, or our address is 310 Upland Drive, Waterloo, Iowa, 50701.
Awesome. And we'll post all this too on the article that we do and on the website, so everyone will have access to it.
Yeah.
So you did 2 houses last year for vets. You got 3 more that you're in the process of doing this year right now, and you have this nursing home that you can convert to a veterans center that can house 80 other veterans, or maybe more, maybe less, but in that, around that ballpark, right?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit more about your future vision and where Americans for Independent Living is going to go in the next 5 years. What are you looking to do? What are your goals?
Well, once we get this, the goal is to, once this resource center is completed and we've got the bugs worked out of it and everything, well, actually we'd start looking into locating a facility just like that in other states where high veteran populations are at. That is my long-term goal with this, to try to cover as many states as we can with this type of a process.
Great.
Talking with the VA director, the state VA director, the director with what's called our soldiers home in our area, which, housing and independent living and nursing home living in one of our communities in Iowa, talking with them. Something like this is desperately needed across the country, let alone, because if we can help a wide range of veterans, especially starting out with the ones coming back home and needing to transition into civilian life, to the older ones needing a place to go, that, they don't get much in income. So to keep and maintain a house when they get into the 60s, 70s, 80-year-old, it's hard for them to maintain that, and everything starts running downhill and they start living in a bad environment. So we can provide things for them, so housing that way. And the other thing that we do also is home modifications for existing veterans with disabilities that are living at home. We'll come in, what we can get for free for them, we'll get everything we can. My labor would be free to do these modifications for veterans. I don't charge for anything like that. So if it comes in and remodeling a bathroom, we remodel the bathroom. If we can get all the supplies and everything for free, that's the way we want to go. Or money to help acquire that and help the individual out with those expenses. So that's one of the other sidelines that we offer with this. So we want to keep everybody as independent as possible. That's the whole game plan. So
that's great. That's great. I got 2 more questions for you before we go.
Sure.
One, what advice would you give to your 22-year-old self? We ask this after every interview. So what do you think? What advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
I guess I would say, thinking back on that, would be, as I grew up, I always followed a lot of the older guys. I never ran with anybody in my age group. I always hung out and enjoyed the older folks. So for the young guys, for 22, I would say, listen to older, wiser individuals and pay attention to what they do and how it works.
Sure.
Don't think that you have to reinvent the wheel, because you'll be a lot further ahead. Just pay attention to what goes on in life with the older groups and what they do, and dad, mom, but whoever it is. But yep.
A lot of lessons from people who've lived, right? I mean,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's hard ones to learn as you grow up, and wish you would have different.
When you're young and in your 20s, you're naive. You think you're invincible, that you can conquer the world, and sometimes you need to be knocked down a few pegs to kind of put things into perspective. But
I agree.
Yeah. And secondly, what does the American dream mean to you?
American dream?
Mm-hmm.
American dream to me is being able to move about freely, do what you want to do, enjoy everything in life that you want to enjoy and want to enjoy doing, and do it with others. And not about having a lot of money and everything is great, but that also can create a lot of issues. But just living life to the fullest extent. That's what an American dream is about.
Yeah.
So with that, everything else will come.
Yeah.
I think if you do that.
Agreed. Yeah, we like to always talk about, the American dream is great. It's not a cliche. It's out there available for anyone who's willing to work for it, right? We have these freedoms because of the service that our veterans and our military folks and their families, that they provide to this country. And, for us to sit on our hands and not take advantage of the opportunities that we have each and every day and the lives that we can create, we need to be doing that. We need to be thankful for those who've served and given us this opportunity. And we need to be able to harness that and live the best lives that we can. And a lot of that involves doing the kind of things that you're doing in terms of, taking your personal time, creating a mission, having a bigger, making a bigger impact in your community and veterans' lives and paying it forward. And I thank you. It's a great thing that you're doing. And hopefully this will resonate with a lot of people and inspire them to do more themselves.
I hope so. That's what we look for, is for everybody to step up and help. I mean, do a little something. It doesn't matter what it is. Do a little something. It makes a difference.
And whatever we can to kind of get your organization out there more and help support this veteran center for you, and we'll do that. So I encourage everyone to go to AmericansForIndependentLiving.org. Donate. Check out what Tim's doing. Tim is doing and with that organization and how he's helping our vets. And donate, help out, and help him grow his movement and make an impact in our veterans' lives. So appreciate you being on the call today, Tim.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Awesome. We'll have you on again sometime. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Take care.
All right.